This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
So DJing has allowed me to have a business around something that I love to do, and continue to grow. And it afforded me the opportunity to travel, to meet people, to join organizations, and grow as an individual more than I ever imagined. It's not easy.
Media Boss Podcast is brought to you by two of our new partners. One is Pantheon. I can't wait to tell you about them later. And brought to you by Convert and Flow. You're going to learn so much about them. But now it's time for the Media Boss Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Media Boss Podcast. I am Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I am excited to have you here with me today. And you're going to be excited too, because once again, we not only have a great podcast for you today, but I have a great guest. We were just talking before, you guys, you weren't privy to all this, but we have a lot of things in common, man. And I'm just happy to have him here with me today. And you're going to find out more about him in a minute. But for those of you, if it's your first time listening to the Media Boss Podcast, I want to tell you what we're all about here. What we're all about is more media for you and your business, because if you want to get out there, if you want more people to see you, if you want more visibility, media is the way to go. Understand this. Everybody consumes their information through some form of media. The thing is, you have to be where they're looking. If you think that only one form of media is going to get your audience, you're mistaken, because there are people all over the world using different forms of media to get their info. You need to be where they are. And when you do that, you will be what I consider a media boss. So that's what the podcast is about. We bring people on here who use media to reach different audiences. Now, I want to tell you what I want you to do right now. I want you to subscribe and share. Make sure you're letting everyone know that you are paying attention to the Media Boss Podcast, okay? Now, another thing I like to do to start every show is I like to give what I like to call a media minute. And the media minute is where I give you some information, some news, a tip, or something to help you do well in media. Now, today's tip is going to be very simple, very simple. The media minute is this. If you're a podcaster, especially if you're a podcaster, because I've seen this a lot with people, make sure, and I mean this, make sure you're having fun. Make sure you're having fun with it. Because when it becomes work to you, it is no longer going to be a podcast, because you're not going to be doing it much longer. Make sure you're having fun. If you find yourself doing too much of the work and it's wearing on you, hire someone to do some of the work for you, so it takes the burden off you, so you can go in there and have fun with it. So that, guys, I told you it was going to be short and simple. That's your media minute for today. Now, guess what, guys? My guest today, this man is a rock star, in my opinion, because he actually is a professor, an adjunct professor at Cal State University. He has a master's in music business. The man is a DJ. He is also an expert. I'm talking about an expert on Twitch. I'm talking about he has his own university, Twitch University. The man is a rock star, like I said. I'm not going to give more accolades because I could go on for days on him. I'm going to bring him on to the mic, and that is none other than Amani Roberts. Amani, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast, my man.
Thank you very much, Barrett. I'm very happy to be here. Appreciate you inviting me to be on the show.
No, brother, the pleasure is mine. The pleasure is mine. Look, you are doing so much. So first of all, I want to talk about your DJing, man. So how did you get into DJing?
You know, you can relate to this. You probably remember. So growing up in DC, exposed to DJs like Donnie Simpson on the radio. I always had wanted to be like him, or Melvin Lindsay, or Glenn Hollis on like 96.3, 97.1. Going back. And then I went to Howard. And one time when I was at Howard, kind of towards the, I was about to graduate, I saw Biz Markie at Quigley's, which was 17th and I Street Northwest. Yeah. And he set it off, and I said I want to do what he did. But back then I didn't think that DJing was a legitimate career, so I kind of just didn't go for it. But every city I traveled in working for Marriott, I would go watch the DJs and kind of look, listen, learn. And eventually I got out to California, and I decided to go for it. So that's kind of how I saw that I wanted to be a DJ. Then that's how I kind of went for being a DJ. And that takes me to when I started. And now here I am, like 15, 16 years later.
Wow. So as a DJ, what has that done for you business wise?
So DJing has allowed me to have a business around something that I love to do,
Mm,
and continue to grow. And it afforded me the opportunity to travel, to meet people, to join organizations, and grow as an individual more than I ever imagined. Now it's not easy, especially over the past few years. It's been tougher, but I'm still here. DJing has also taught me the live streaming skill because that's why I initially started live stream about two and a half
hmm.
years ago. It was just a DJ. So it continues to give back. It allows me a unique perspective when I'm teaching my students because they love it. They find it very interesting. So
Okay.
it just continues to kind of define me, but I won't let it define all of me. So all in
Ah, I like
all, I love it. I love it.
I like that. I want to live to find all of you. Now, I got to ask this. When I saw this, it intrigued me. Twitch University. Please
Yeah.
talk on that, man.
So this was an idea I had kind of early on in the pandemic when we were live streaming on Twitch. There were a lot of other DJs on. We just were having like technical issues. We just didn't know what to do. The power of a software like OBS, Open Broadcasting Software,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure you're familiar with, like it's a
Mm-hmm.
very powerful software. We didn't even know kind of how to use it. We were having issues. So as a professor, they would call me the professor because I would research how to fix things and share it with people. So then every Monday, I would have this show where I would invite guests on. We'd talk about it. I kind of teach people different ways to do things on Twitch. I had people show off their setups in terms of their PC setups, what they did. It was just like a really, really unique time period where we were all learning a lot at the same time. We were pretty much all stuck inside,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it is. So I did Twitch University for a good like 2 years, almost like 2 years. Now I've kind of shifted that show time to the show called This Week in Music, but Twitch University will
Mm-hmm.
go down as a show in the peak of the pandemic where we learned together. We were able to kind of grow, and pretty much people all graduated because they didn't have as many issues as they had before. So I had to
Yeah.
kind of move on and kind of shift the show. But that's kind of where it was. It was in its heyday. It was very, very popular. And I was just there for the ride.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you, what separates Twitch from some of the other platforms out there for streaming?
I think currently it probably offers you the best opportunity to monetize your stream on a daily
Okay.
basis while making it easy for your viewers to, cheer you on, watch you, donate to you yourself, kind of use
Mm.
the internal mechanisms on Twitch to tip you, subscribe. But that's kind of currently where it stands. Of course, the company, the brand is going through some changes, so it might shift. But right now, that's probably the best place to go. And it originally was a gaming platform, and then we kind
Uh-huh.
of adopted it during the pandemic and
Yeah.
continue to grow. Looking ahead, YouTube definitely is another great option because they're kind of adding in a lot of aspects in terms of subscribing, cheering, which is kind of donating money, or they call it bits on Twitch. So I think
Mm-hmm.
right now Twitch is the best. We don't know in 2 or 3 years what will change, but all in all, just find yourself a home to live stream. I also do the same thing on like LinkedIn too, but
Okay.
it's definitely not as easy to monetize on those platforms yet.
Okay. Cause I've heard a lot of people talk about something like a StreamYard as well.
Yes, yeah. So StreamYard would be like it's kind of comparable to like a Zoom,
Okay.
where it kind of allows you to bring people onto your stream as you're broadcasting, give you some overlay options, background options. I've kind of graduated from StreamYard. I used to use that pretty much exclusively for a good year and a half. Now I use OBS combined with like a software called Ping.gg,
I heard.
which
Yeah.
gives you better graphics. But then OBS, as you know, because you used to work in news, it allows you to like do cutaways, different
Mm.
cameras, different
Yeah.
graphics,
Yeah.
pop up. It's
Yeah.
very powerful. And so once you can kind of get in there and add things, it helps your stream look much better.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, and you all can tell I'm talking to the professor right here. You can tell he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. Now, as far as live streaming, what would you say to a business person who is curious as to whether they should be live streaming or not?
I love that question. I think that I would tell business people definitely find out the platform where most of your potential clients, customers, colleagues are and live stream. I think it's a win-win. Like it will allow you to be more intimate with your customers, your clients. It'll
Mhm.
allow people to find you. It's kind of a modern day just format of marketing. And there's so much noise out there between like putting up posts on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever platform you're using it. But when you're doing something live, it's a little different. It's a little more authentic because you can make mistakes. There's funny things, dogs barking, all sorts of things. But it allows people to get to know you on a more personal level. People can interact and ask questions. Then for you, it builds you just a nice, strong library of content that you can then kind of chop up and share on across all platforms. Do what you like, and it could kind of provides a living and breathing resume if you're looking for a job or you're kind of pitching for clients. They can okay, let me check out this DJ if he's streaming on this day, or this potential MC if he's moderating a talk show at this time. It just kind of creates a lot more living, breathing elements that will add to your content library. I think it's a win-win. It takes, dedication and consistency,
Hmm.
but with the tools we have now, I mean, you can get, like, I use an old Sony camera that can allow me to have a really crisp picture. You have a
Yeah.
microphone around the house. I mean, you have like different audio interfaces. I use the Stream Deck. You can acquire things, but I just think it's a win-win, and more people should adopt it because they'll find benefits in the short and the long run.
So do you feel it can grow your brand?
Absolutely, 100%. Yes.
Wow, nice. Then let me ask you: are there any particular ways that you can think of to use it to grow your brand?
I think a couple ways, like, once again, like creating content that you can share across platforms, showing your subject matter expertise. Like if you're an expert in like media, TV, film, you can always live stream and broadcast it on like a LinkedIn or a Twitch or a YouTube. But then also, once you broadcast it live on YouTube, then you have the content there so people can find you. It's all about being discovered. And branding. Then you can share this on Twitter. If you're looking to speak at conferences, you can refer people to your live streaming page, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. So people see, okay, this is a practiced and seasoned professional speaker. We might want to get them for, a breakout or a keynote session. And it really kind of, I don't want to say it lowers the barrier, but it gives people many different looks at you and your
Yeah,
brand and allows them to kind of understand what you do quicker.
got it, got it. Now you have a podcast too.
I do. That
Ah,
was Amani Roberts podcast. I'm kind of changing the focus of it, and I need to kind
uh,
of catch up. But yeah, that's the podcast. We interview people who used to work in the corporate space but have left in something more creative, and I'm
I
kind of
like that.
shifting that to more focus on the music business because that's a lot of what my interviews are now. But that's kind of the podcast I did. I've been doing that one now for like 4 years. I had to kind of pause during grad school because I was overwhelmed, so I had to stop because I had
Uh,
to focus on doing my homework. But that's the
you
podcast.
got to kind of do that, huh?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, do you have a preference, or does it matter with live streaming versus podcasting?
I like live streaming because it's live element, probably a little bit easier to monetize. Then you just record, chop the recording up, and make it a podcast. So I like both, but definitely live streaming first, and then trying to move it to the podcast platforms, which I'm still kind of working through.
Okay, okay, that's cool. That's so now as far as live streaming, what are some of the because someone brand new at it? What are some of the pitfalls they may run into?
Over analyzing what equipment you need. That's number one. Like people are like, oh, I gotta get a camera, I gotta get this computer, this microphone. So that's what stops people right away. I say start
Hmm,
with what you have. You might have a microphone. You can maybe even use your earbuds if you have like a Android or iPhone. See what cameras you have around the house. Old phones work as cameras very well, very good pictures. Use your computer. Maybe you have an audio interface because you have like a stereo system or you've done some other things. Now that's something you might want to buy because audio interface is important, but don't let the all the equipment scare you off. So I think that's the first thing that kind of pitfalls that scares people off. And second is just being consistent, setting up a schedule. If you can set like the same time a week to go live, that will help people
mhm.
find you because we love our routines as human beings.
That's
And
true.
then, it doesn't have to be an hour long. It can be 20, 25 minutes, 10 minutes, 30, 35. You don't have to do a whole long show because a lot of people think a podcast is like an hour, hour and a half. And just
Yeah.
be consistent. You can use resources out there like a Fiverr to get graphics, someone really cheap. You can even create graphics on Photoshop or
True.
whatever. Canva is
Canva,
a
yeah.
really,
Uh-huh.
really amazing platform. So don't be overwhelmed with everything to do. Just take it bit by bit. But the key is to get started. I think the fear of equipment stops people from getting started, and the fear of, not having anyone to talk to or no one's going to watch you. That's okay. Like we all started that way. We all start with one or
I
two
agree.
viewers, and then you just grow from there.
I mean that is probably some of the best advice anyone can give. I swear, because the tech overwhelm is what I
Yeah.
call it, and it gives
Yeah.
people they get so scared of the technology. I'm like, just start it, man. You'll
Yeah.
grow and you'll change. I can't tell you how many microphones I have around here. It's just, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to do something. So yeah,
Right.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. And it's one of the things, like you said, people fear that no one's going to listen and no one's going to watch them. And I always tell people when you get started, do it because you want to get your message out.
Hmm.
Don't do it to get a crowd of people. Do it
Hmm.
because you want to get your message out and get your message out. And the great thing about podcasting, look, man, that message is there forever.
Right.
So
Right.
it may be
Exactly.
2, 3 years from now, somebody may pick it up. I like that message. It may not be right now because most people don't listen to podcasts live, but they listen to live stream. Well, the great thing about live streaming is that you can turn it into a podcast if you
Yeah.
need to.
Exactly. The beauty is in the recording. That's what I always share.
Your beauty's in the recording. I like that.
Yeah.
So I gotta bring up one more thing, man, because
Hmm.
you're doing it all, and I love this about you and what you're doing with media. That's why he's a media boss, everybody. He's a media boss.
Thank
And
you.
I gotta ask you about your book.
Yes, yes. So it's DJs Mean Business. It takes you through the time slots of a DJ set from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And every 15 minutes, it relates it to growing a business. So, for example, 10 p.m., you're just starting your gig. It's very comparable to just starting a business. Who's your ideal client? Who's your client avatar in the DJ world? You're kind of just scoping out the scene. Who's there? Who do you want to get to stay? So you're just kind of warming up the crowd. We'll fast forward a few chapters to like 11 o'clock p.m. That's the troubleshooting chapter. Something
Oh,
always
that's
goes
cool.
wrong in the DJ booth. How are you going to fix it? But the rule is the music can never stop. Same thing in business. Something might go wrong. You might have to shift your offerings, or you notice that maybe a offering that you have is selling much more than what you anticipated. How are you going to shift? But you can never close your business. We get to midnight.
Mm.
I'm skipping some chapters here because I got to leave
This is
something
cool though.
to
I'm loving this, man. This is fun.
yeah. Midnight is prime time, so how are you gonna keep the dance floor packed? Song after song, people singing along, but you're also cycling people through the bar, so they get the money there. In business, how are you growing sales? Week over week, year over year, you just want to keep the sales coming in. Then we get to like later in the broadcast or the set, like 1:30. I love to play slow jams at the end of the set to help people out if they're there and try to meet people. That's comparable to when businesses use nostalgia to kind of reinvent themselves or launch a new product. I love to count Old Spice and Adidas as two brands and Nintendo as three brands who do a really good job using nostalgia. And then the night's over at 2 p.m. Then you get feedback. For me, I had a unique opportunity. It was kind of the right time at the right place. I used to drive for Uber, so I would pick up people who were in the club with me, drive them home. I'd say, "Oh, what'd you think of the music tonight?" They say, "Oh, we loved it," or "Oh, we wish the DJ played this." Then as I'm about to drop them off, I say, "By the way, that was me being the DJ. I'm also driving for Uber," and they'd be like, "Oh, wow, well this, that." So that was just a
I
good way to
love
get
it.
feedback. And so that's kind of a quick summary of the book. I love it. I'm so proud of it. I launched it April 2020, so right in the middle, peak pandemic
Yeah.
time, and I just keep talking about it. It's still serving me very well.
I love that, man. That is good. I like the way you described the way it's put together. That is so cool. Now, had you always set out to write a book? How did it come out that you even wrote a book?
Yeah, not really. It just was kind of the timing. I was looking to become like a thought leader in the space. Like I want to
Hmm.
become a thought leader in the creative space. I want to become more than a DJ, but I also want to represent the DJ community by telling people that we're not just button pushers. We're very, very complex individuals where we have to understand emotional IQ, reading a room. We have to do business, accounting. We provide many roles. And then when we're specifically DJing, we're kind of, as I said before, we're reading the room. So we're trying to tap into the emotions of the people. We're playing chess where we're like 4 or 5 songs ahead. We also have to be our own tech support if there are issues here. We also have to kind of do client management, making sure that the
Wow.
club owner is happy, our clients are happy. If it's a corporate event, we have to do a lot of things at once. People might take that for granted, and that's not even talking about the skill of DJing, whether you're scratching, blending, mixing, juggling, all sorts of things,
Wow.
live blends that people just don't realize. So it's my goal to share a little bit of that, let people know that we are complex individuals and we're worth what we're asking for. And that was kind of the goal right there.
I like that. I like that a lot, man. I told y'all he was a rock star.
Thank you.
But guess
Thank
what,
you.
guys? We're gonna rock a little bit more with Amani Roberts. We're gonna take a break. And we'll be right back with more of the Media Boss podcast. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back. How are you going to learn everything you need to know about starting a podcast? Well, at the Create Your Podcast Weekend, we put it all in 2 days and help you get your podcast going by next week. That's right, by next week. All you have to do is come to the Create Your Podcast Weekend and let us show you how to get your podcast up and running. We will show you how to attract listeners. We will show you how to get people to pay you for your products and services. What products and services? The products and services we show you how to create, all at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. All you have to do is go to createyourpodcastweekend.com and get registered today. And we have special bonuses. Some of you will even get us to give you the equipment to start your podcast. That's right. We're going to give some of you the podcasting equipment to get started. Go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. That's createyourpodcastweekend.com and get started on your podcast by next week. Starting a podcast can be a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're probably wondering if you're able to handle it. Well, why don't you just take 2 days and let us teach you how to do it at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. That's right. We're going to show you all the aspects of how to start your podcast, how to keep your podcast going, how to attract listeners, and how to make money with your podcast. CreateYourPodcastWeekend.com. Get registered right now. Do you have a podcast? Would you like to have it heard by more and more people? Well, Pantheon is the way to go. Unlock the right mindset and tactics with our program. Create momentum with repurposed content. Get paid to build your business. And with Pantheon, we'll even show you how to have a team around you that gives you a community of encouragement. Check out Pantheon today.
You and me together, we could be anything.
Hey guys, I want to tell you a little bit about Pantheon. Man, let me tell you, the Media Boss podcast is so successful right now, partly because of the work that we put in with our new partner, Pantheon. They have helped us to grow our listenership. Our downloads for our podcast have increased substantially over just the last 4 to 6 months because of our partnership with Pantheon. Let me tell you, they have made it so that we can do our work in creating great content for you guys while they help us to grow. They work tirelessly behind the scenes, making it so people are more interested in what we're putting out as far as the podcast. They put systems in place. They do training. They show us how to attract more people, and they're making it happen for us. Look, if you guys want to learn more about how to do that for yourselves or for your podcast, I suggest that you get together with the people at Pantheon. I'll set up a meeting myself with them so you can do that. Connect with me, and let's find out how you can get going with Pantheon yourself for you and your podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. I am Dr. Barrett Matthews. And like I told you, man, my guest is a rock star today. We got Amani Roberts here, and he is talking about all the things he's doing with Twitch. He's doing podcasts. He's got books. Now, I have to ask you something before we let you go today, man. I have to ask you, a professor at Cal State Fullerton, how did that come about?
Yeah. I love that. I love that job, the kind of career. So I grew up in a home of educators. My dad was a professor at Howard University, chairman of the psychology department. My mother worked as a school psychologist, and I never wanted to do anything that was related to them. I wanted to be very different, my own individual. And as I was growing my business, my DJ business, I decided to volunteer with Meetings Professional International, MPI Southern California chapter. And so I was on the board. I was vice president of education and vice president of membership a couple years before. And when I was VP of membership, we were tasked with growing our student population. So here in Southern California, I visited schools like Cal State University Fullerton, Cal State University Northridge, Poly Pomona, Long Beach. We went to UNLV, Vegas, and TISO. I went to all these schools, and at Fullerton, they kind of asked me to come back. We spoke at classrooms. I helped them out with a program that they did in the spring called, I think it was like Hello Hospitality, a summer program. And then one day in the summer, and I had been there a couple times, helped them out, gotten to know them. They sent me a note. They had a teacher that resigned suddenly. They were looking for an adjunct professor. It was already maybe June or July, and they were trying to fill someone in for that current August semester. So I said, sure, I'm interested, because, as a DJ, you're always trying to diversify your income. If something happens and you can't DJ, or, which unfortunately happened during the pandemic where we couldn't, but teaching at least saved me a little bit of income. So they asked me if I was interested. I said, okay, sure. I had been teaching a little bit like in the second, like at high school level, but never college. So they interviewed me, did a background check. I think they let me know like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks before the semester started. They said, okay, here you are. Here's a sample syllabus. This is where you need to be for orientation. And so then I just showed up and I really had to learn. The first semester I taught there, I taught two classes. It was like 1 to 4 and 4 to 7 p.m. one day a week. So it was a lot. It was just like trial by fire, but I loved it. And then I got better at it. And eventually they asked me to become executive director of the Center for Entertainment and Hospitality Management. So I did well. They
Wow.
expanded the number of classes I teach. So now I also teach like first class I taught was BU 8360, which is like entertainment money management. Then I added project management to it. Now I teach entertainment operations. I also teach strategic business
Wow.
seminar. So because I was doing so well, they gave me more classes. So then I have just a much more well-rounded scope of what I can teach. And I'm there now Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I love it. I mean, it's been a godsend. I love teaching. I'm learning. I'm doing well. The students respond well. So it's just kind of one of those crazy things that worked out. And as much as I tried to fight it and stay away, somehow I found my way back to teaching just like my family. So it's
And,
crazy.
isn't that funny how that works?
Yes. Yes, it
So
is.
look, long story short, years ago I left the media, and here I am right now.
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
happens. Amani, I want to thank you so much for coming, but I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know any way they can support you, anything you have going on, my man.
Like just, buy the book. The book's available on Amazon. If you're looking for, someone to maybe DJ an event for you, it can be virtually or it could be in person. I travel across the world. I also host game shows, which are really interesting to do, like client engagement, associate satisfaction. I do that virtually and in person. I just had a in-person Family Feud game last night that I did here in
Oh,
California. So that's what it is. You can find me. All my socials are at Amani Experience. My name is Amani Roberts on LinkedIn, and the website's amaniexperience.com. And yeah, just come and reach out. I'll always respond back, reply. But yeah, if you want the book, you want me to come and DJ an event, moderate a discussion, interview anyone, that's kind of all in my scope of work. That's what I do.
I love it. I love it. But man, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Media Boss podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me, Barrett. It has been a pleasure.
No problem. No problem. Hey, everybody. That's Amani Roberts. Make sure you guys are supporting him. Make sure he gave you all his information. And we're going to put it up here for you as well. Make sure you support him. Now, guys, I have one thing for you. And especially those of you who are new, you don't know what I'm giving you, but those of you who've been here for a while, you know what I'm going to offer you. I'm offering you my complimentary training on how you can get more clients that want to pay you. How do you get that? Well, you just go to www.5waystoPayingClients.com. 5waystoPayingClients.com. It's my complimentary training for you to show you how you can get those clients that have been slipping away and get them into your pipeline as well. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back and show you how we get out of here on the Media Boss podcast. Stay right where you are. Why should you contact Media Boss Club right now? Well, because you can get a podcast done for you. You can learn all the aspects that go into putting together a great podcast and have someone else do it for you. That's right. We will build your podcast around your content and make it so you can concentrate on the money-making activities of your business. Contact MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com today and let us get your podcast started right now. Let's face it, you've been talking about starting a podcast for quite some time, but you haven't started yet. Why is that? Could it be that you just don't have the time because your day-to-day keeps you so busy? Or could it be that you don't want to learn all the technical aspects that go into putting together a quality podcast? Well, at Media Boss Club, we take care of that for you. How would you like to have a done-for-you experience? That's right. At Media Boss Club, we build your podcast for you. We will edit your podcast. We will put in the music for you. We even put in commercial breaks that you can put your advertisers in. We will take care of all of the uploading to the great podcast platforms that are out there. That's right, we do everything. All you have to do is just right now go to MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com and let us handle the heavy lifting for you. Do you have a podcast? Would you like to have it heard by more and more people? Well, Pantheon is the way to go. Unlock the right mindset and tactics with our program. Create momentum with repurposed content. Get paid to build your business. And with Pantheon, we'll even show you how to have a team around you that gives you a community of encouragement. Check out Pantheon today.
You and me together, we could be anything.
Hey everybody, the Media Boss Podcast has been brought to you by our partners, Pantheon and Convert and Flow. Make sure you get with us so you can find out more about how you can help your business run smoothly with Pantheon and Convert and Flow. Welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. As I mentioned earlier, Amani Roberts is the truth. I'm so glad he was a part of the show today. Look, everyone, I got something for you. If you want to support the Media Boss Podcast, go to patreon.com/Media Boss Podcast. We have something great for you if you're supporting us as well. Thank you so much. Also, as I just gave you guys a free gift. Go ahead and take advantage of that. It's 5 ways to payingclients.com. That's 5 ways to payingclients.com. Now, if those of you who are really serious about becoming a media boss, I mean expanding your reach in the media, I need you to come to my challenge then, because I'm going to help you at the challenge. It's called the Make Money from Media Challenge. Make Money from Media Challenge. That's right. We're going to show you how to incorporate all the media that can help put money in your pocket. So come to the Make Money from Media Challenge. And what I want you to do also, sign up as a VIP. If you really want to make money, sign up as a VIP and we can show you how you can do those things as well. And we want to make sure for those of you out there who want to learn to have your own podcast and maybe even have one done for you, text the word podcast to 929-244-4323, 929-244-4323. And we're going to help you to get a podcast. And last but not least, we want to make sure you guys are subscribing to the Media Boss Podcast and sharing it with all of your friends and colleagues. So how do we get out of here on the Media Boss Podcast? Oh, we only do it one way, guys. Countdown from 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Media Boss out.